Right now, I'm guessing a whole bunch of you are putting a lot of time into Animal Crossing. The talk I've seen surrounding New Horizons seems to focus on the fact that there really couldn't have been a better time for a game like this to release, given how utterly wild and unpredictable and, well, scary things are right now. In tough times, here is a game that, while far from mindless, provides people with a comforting feeling of normalcy. You can busy yourself with routine tasks during a period of unexpected downtime, watch numbers go up without too much in the way of strenuous effort. Hell, you can talk to people and make friends while you yourself might be feeling quite lonely. Which, look, I really hope you're all doing okay out there. We'll get through this weirdness, just stay at home for now and keep washing those hands. Thanks everyone. Anyway, far be it from me to tell you that this is somehow not a valid way of coping during all of this. It absolutely is, and anything that gives you even a small amount of comfort you should hold on to for all it's worth. I made a video earlier last year talking about racing games and how the purity of that action, the lack of equivocation in start, go fast and finish first, provided a compelling escape from my own head during periods of extreme stress. I often rely on video games for pure escapism. It's a hugely valuable thing to me. But lately, even with everything that's been going on, I can't help but notice it's a couple of other recently released big name titles that have been demanding my attention over the more overtly relaxing stuff I'd normally gravitate towards. Games that are, shall we say, a little more intense. The original Nioh was a game I adored, but never got super far into because the sheer fury of its incredible combat system, the speed with which you would get cut down if you weren't 100% on your shit at all times, was legitimately panic-inducing for me. But here we have a sequel that retains all of that speed, that same fury, that might actually be harder, up front at least, and suddenly I can't get enough of it. Make no mistake, I am abysmal at this game, and yet for some reason, not only do I keep coming back to it, but I feel calmer coming away from it, like a weight has been lifted. Same with Doom Eternal, which might not be the most difficult game in the world, but certainly builds upon the framework set by 2016's entry, with enough weapons and modifiers and techniques to turn every encounter into a fraught non-stop ballet of carnage, forcing me to constantly switch up my strategy on the fly in a continual cycle of blasting through my resources and desperately seeking out more, trying to maintain momentum with a million enemies and projectiles on my tail, all amounting to me emerging from certain gunfights slightly physically shaking. And like with Nioh 2, I found this to be a weirdly therapeutic experience. It's inspired a spree of installing notoriously difficult games that might otherwise have been too daunting, or revisiting titles I haven't played in years because of the battle scars they left me with. I still plan on getting into Animal Crossing at some point, the racing games are always there if I need them, but suddenly it seems I'm a glutton for video game punishment. But the question is, why? Why add to my already heightened anxiety and existential dread with media that arguably makes me feel more anxiety and dread? Why do I find myself craving that challenge in this already challenging period? Well, it's not like there isn't precedent for this seemingly masochistic mindset in other media. The appeal of horror films, for example, for those suffering from stress or anxiety is long documented, with some researchers going as far as to posit the phenomenon as a form of exposure therapy, asserting that these films allow people to, quote, vicariously experience negative emotion in a controlled environment. Your brain can focus on the bad stuff happening in front of your eyes while very clearly recognizing it as fictional. You might experience a kind of catharsis as you transfer your fear and tension onto this on-screen threat, and, for lack of a better term, spend that negative, restless energy built up inside you. For me, it feels like these challenging games of whatever genre really are in a unique spot to fulfill a similar purpose, but also maybe even go further in the benefits they offer. The speed of a game like Doom Eternal offers me those same feelings of tension and release, but in a far more concentrated, personalised form. Unlike a horror film, I am directly experiencing these negative emotions of anxiety and fear. These creatures are coming for a character that I inhabit rather than someone I merely watch. But I'm also in direct control of the danger here. I choose to immerse myself in it. This is the height of controlled exposure to negative emotions. And what's more, in these intense experiences, these are emotions that I am incentivized to overcome. See, the same way many people might use time like this to pick up an instrument or learn a language, acknowledge, these games represent a project of sorts, something I start off terrible at, but can sense myself actively making progress in over time. I have spent legitimately hours in the early game of Nioh 2, getting absolutely bodied left and right by its unbelievably tough bosses, wondering in what possible reality I could ever progress past them. But then I'll return to previous areas, ones that had me stuck on even regular enemies for a not insignificant amount of time, and suddenly I'm the one doing the bodying. No matter how glacial that progress may seem, no matter how frustrating it might often be to lose and lose and lose again, I am learning this game the more I play it. It may not be some massively transferable skill like learning carpentry or something, but I can feel my reflexes getting faster here. My brain is constantly engaged, which when stuck inside for prolonged periods of time can be as important as physical exercise. These games might seem outright brutal at times, but as a result, they become training exercises in calm, focused play. Don't become overwhelmed, these games say. This is all conquerable if you put your mind to it. And if there were ever a more important message for where we're all at right now, I don't know what it is. All in, you might not be able to cope with such stressful experiences right now, and that is 100% fine, whatever gets you through. The purpose of this piece isn't to tell you, hey, if you're really anxious, try out this truly stressful thing that will definitely help. But more to suggest that if you are finding that same kind of investment in these tough games during this time, you're not alone, and there might be some legitimate psychological benefits in that mindset. In thinking about my own experience battling mental health issues, it occurs to me that the video I made last year about racing games discussed two in particular that were so absurd as to allow me to confront my own weird anxieties that I couldn't make sense of at the time. Now though, it appears as if the whole world is submerged in absurdity. Feelings of powerlessness and inertia seem more universal than ever. Like I say, escapism is valuable, and distraction is a critical component of many people's recoveries. But for me, right now, I guess I felt the need to directly combat those feelings that have so often led me into crippling depressive episodes. When it comes to my own mental health struggles, it seems that while every fibre of my being is screaming at me to hunker down in my comfort zone, more demanding games give me the opportunity to rip and tear myself out of it. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'd just like to reiterate that this is based purely on my own experience, and however you choose to get through this weird time, as long as it involves staying inside, staying safe and washing your hands, is a-okay by me. I really hope you're all doing okay. I'd like to sincerely thank my patrons for making videos like this possible. I know these are incredibly weird times, so I am even more grateful for your support than I normally am, if that's even possible. You absolutely allow me to keep doing this, and rest assured I will be doing my damnedest to make it worth your while during this whole mess. Other people's content has helped me a great deal in times of stress, and hopefully I can ease that a little for some of you. Needless to say, if you feel you can support the show on Patreon, you'll be directly allowing me to continue, and I'll never be able to thank you enough for that. You are the absolute best. An extra special thank you to Mark B. Writing, Artyom Vitsyuk, Leah Chinello, Konstantinos Sakinis, Henry Milek, Edward Clayton Andrews, Hebe Amori, Rob, Bryce Snyder, Tommy Carver-Chaplin, David Björk, Lucas, Dallas Keane, William Fielder, my dad, Timothy Jones, The Nameless Guy, Ham Migas, Samuel Pickens, Shardfire, Anna Pimentel, Jesse Ryan, Justin's Holderness, and Charlie Yang. And with that, this has been another episode of Writing on Games. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, and I will see you next time.